Alors, déplacez le curseur jusqu'à ce que l'ordinateur soit à peine visible. Ouais, mais je vais faire exprès pour qu'on le voit. Entrez l'heure actuelle. Oh là là. Quelle heure? Alors, comment que ça se passe? Champ de vision, sensibilité caméra et vibration, langage français, affiché, ok. Il n'y a rien de spécial. On va direct commencer le jeu. Alors là, je vous dis clairement, je connais rien, je sais pas c'est quoi ce jeu, je vais découvrir. Je sais pas du tout ce que c'est. Never. Jamais.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Ok. Alors. Je peux me lever de mon bureau. Qu'est-ce qu'il faut faire? Des fois, c'est des détails. C'est un truc de réflexion, à mon avis. Je connais vraiment strictement rien du tout. Pour jamais vous raconter qu'est-ce que c'est, qu'est-ce qu'il faut faire. Je découvre, je sais pas. On y va à la bonne franquette, allez hop. À mon avis, ça fait un peu travailler les ménages. Chercher, observer. Alors. Des fois il suffit, des fois il y a un code. Des fois c'est marqué quelque part. Alors déjà, je vais retenir déjà le 427 de son bureau. Ensuite, jamais. J'ai pas accès au dossier. Parce que souvent, des fois, c'est des jeux comme ça, c'est l'histoire de code. 427. Les portes, ça s'ouvre pas. Les bureaux, pareil. Attends. Avant de commencer, je vais faire quoi? C'est des trucs comme ça, c'est bien parce que ça change de l'ordinaire, de la baston, bagarre, le son, le zombie. Après, c'est vrai que ça fait réagir. Alors. On va essayer de voir ça. 429.
All of his co-workers were
Tes
gone.
collègues avaient
What could it
disparu.
mean?
Pourquoi?
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Il est dans la salle de réunion. Oh, mon bureau il s'est fermé d'un coup. Je sais même pas si c'est un truc d'horreur, tu vois. Salle de réunion, salle de réunion. Tu vas avoir déjà, il faut que je prenne un sens de l'orientation.
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Ouais, ses collègues ils ont disparu. Alors moi je suis sur 427. C'est fermé. Le bureau est fermé. Je sais pas.
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
Un labyrinthe. Heureusement que c'est sous-titré. Tu vois, des fois, t'as des... Oh my god, le labyrinthe. Tu vois, regarde, je suis au 427. Je retiens 427. Attends. J'espère que je sais pas. T'imagines? Ça s'ouvre. Je comprends plus ce qu'il faut faire. Ça me fait délirer les jeux comme ça. Tiens, 427. Je te commence avec des chiffres. Je comprends rien du tout quand même. 427, 427.
When Stanley came to a set of two open
Putain,
doors,
ça se referme
he
derrière moi,
entered the
exprès.
door on his left.
Alors, vu qu'on vient de lancer le live, dites-moi. Dites-moi, gauche ou droite? Après la porte elle va se refermer. Stanley. Ouais, c'est ça. Alors, on va sur lequel côté? Je vais avoir des gens. Après bon, forcément là, il n'y aura pas beaucoup de monde. Sur quel côté je vais? Gauche. Ouais, je vais faire exprès, je vais peut-être y aller à droite, non? Je sais pas. Je sais pas. Droite. Je sais pas. Droite, gauche, droite, gauche, droite, gauche, droite, gauche, droite, gauche, droite, gauche, je sais pas. Je sais pas, j'ai envie d'y aller à gauche comme j'ai pas envie d'y aller à droite. Je sais pas. Je vais regarder des détails. J'ai peur qu'il y ait une couille quelque part. Plouf, plouf. Allez, à droite.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Le problème, c'est que il est pas en français, mais heureusement qu'il est sous-titré, mais j'ai oublié tout le temps de regarder ce qu'ils disent. Ouais, tu vois, regarde. En fait, je crois que ça fait rejoindre. Ah, tu retiens, bah oui. Ah, le prochain, c'est toi.
Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
Ok, il restait là pour s'inspirer. Ouais, ok. S'inspirer de quoi?
Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it.
Ah putain, comment que ça me saoule. Non, j'aime pas les buts.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Hein, j'ai pas vu ce qu'il a écrit. J'ai dit gauche parce que je suis gauchère. Ah, moi j'aime pas le gauche. Il y a une porte, j'ai pas envie de rentrer tout de suite là. Regarde, je fais exprès d'y aller à un compte. Et ça va se fermer.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he
J'ai
wasn't
pas
5
écouté ce
years
qu'il m'a dit.
ago.
Ah, comme ça écoute toujours jamais, de toute façon. Non, c'est des plombs. J'aime bien l'appareil comme ça pour mesurer. Carré comme ça. Et puis aller faire la porte fermée. Ah oui, bah oui, où je suis. Je sais même pas si je devais être ici. Je sais pas ce qu'il faut faire. C'est marrant quand même. Hein. Ouais, c'est en anglais.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot
Putain,
here.
la logistique.
I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult. But the
En fait, je crois que des fois, il faut quand même l'écouter quand il dit va à gauche, il faut y aller à gauche. Hein.
All this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley.
Mais va faire confiance à l'ordinateur. C'est ça le délire avec le truc là.
Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself.
S'il vous plaît, arrêtez de
I'm not
prendre.
asking for me, I'm asking
Ah, des fois, tu vois, bah, comme il dit, il faut pas l'écouter.
This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself, to put your work aside, to let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
J'avais regardé, après le jeu, bah, j'ai pas regardé comment il faut faire, mais quelqu'un qui avait fait une vidéo, il dit, ouais, des fois, faut pas écouter. Hein, voilà. Hein? Wesh.
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this, to reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
Oh, ça me fait un peu j'ai eu des frissons. Allô? Croche. Oui. Pourquoi c'est blanc comme ça? Qu'est-ce qu'il faut faire? Revenir en arrière? Ok. Eh.
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here.
Il me dit de rentrer, mais j'ai pas envie. Ah, tiens, faut...
Sorry, but you're in my story now.
Ah ouais, quand même, hein, tu vois. Attends, en fait, moi je suis quelqu'un qui écoute pas, moi. Vas-y, dis ce que t'as à dire.
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
La mort de Stanley. Hein? Bonjour, employé. Appuie sur... J'ai pas envie d'appuyer. En plus, il me dit qu'est-ce qu'il faut faire.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence. Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life. But in his mind, in his mind he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him.
Pour regarder la télévision.
And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly. So he went further. He imagined that he came to two open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice.
T'as fait
It
voir que
barely
t'avais
even
une
mattered what
femme
lay
qui
behind each
t'attendait.
door.
Ouais, ouais.
The mere
Mais faut
thought
pas faire
that his
confiance à mon
decisions
avis.
would
Des fois,
mean
il faut
something
écouter ou
was
pas.
almost too
Faut se méfier
wonderful
dans le
to
jeu là.
behold. As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and
J'aime pas attention à ce qu'il
destinations.
dit, tu vois.
Down one path lay an enormous round room with
Sortir.
monitors and
Faut pas
mind
me laisser tranquille.
controls. And down another was a yellow line that
Heureusement qu'il
weaved
m'entend
in
pas
many
dans le casque
directions.
après il dit
And
ouais,
down
oh.
another was a
T'imagines
gate with a baby.
l'intelligence
And
artificielle
he
capte
called it
ce que tu
the
dis avec ton casque
Stanley
en
parable.
live. Il reconnaît ta voix. C'est tombé.
It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time. But there is no answer. How could
Wesh,
there
mon bureau il est arrivé d'un
possibly be?
coup là.
In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has.
Ton
Nothing has
bureau, dans ta
changed.
maison, dans ta
The longer
chambre.
he spends here, the more
T'as tout qui tombe
invested he
dessus, ton
gets,
petit,
the more he
la
forgets
voiture,
which
tu vas la
life is
mettre
the
aussi
real
ici là.
one. And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing
Il faut être beaucoup
himself.
observateur.
But he won't listen to me. He won't stop.
Mais
Here,
il n'écoute
watch
que de me
this.
regarder.
Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it. You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself? I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time.
Allez, ouvre la porte là.
And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button.
Veuillez
And I tried
mourir.
again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried.
Il est sérieux? On va pas me dire que là en fait vu que j'ai pas écouté, je crève maintenant. T'es sérieux? C'est ça le jeu? Vas-y, charge. Le gars qui a pas de patience. T'imagines, j'ai crevé juste pour ça en fait. Ah, j'ai pas vu le message de moi, j'ai pas flippé. Ah, je repars à zéro.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided
En fait,
to
il
go to
fallait y
the
aller à
meeting
droite, je
room.
crois.
Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Non, c'est qui avait dit gauche? Gauche. J'ai été à gauche ou à droite? J'aurais dû écouter en fait. Non, je sais pas.
When Stanley came to a set
Oh,
of
je
two open
recommence en
doors,
fait.
he entered the door on his left.
Alors. Je me rappelle plus. J'avais été. T'as dit gauche. Eh ben, je vais à droite. Non, je regarde. À gauche. Mais en fait, j'aurais dû l'écouter. Il m'a dit prendre la porte. Et ah ouais, la salle de réunion, c'était bien là. T'avais.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office,
Mais il avait raison,
hoping
en fait.
he might find an answer there.
Fallait l'écouter. Ah bah il avait tort alors tout à l'heure. Alors. Bon c'est pas grave, ça me servira de leçon, hein. Ça arrive. Des fois faut pas se fier aux apparences et à tout ce qu'on voit et tout ce qu'on dit aussi. Hein. 402 plus 405. Putain, pourquoi je sais pas. Je comprends rien du tout. J'ai jamais été fort à ça en anglais ou même dans les autres matières alors. Des fois peut-être il va y avoir des informations à retenir. On sait jamais. Allez c'est parti. Alors déjà que je retiens gauche.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Il a dit, je sais pas, ah, j'ai pas vu le message. Je descends ou je monte? Je crois qu'il m'a dit gravi. Je gravais, bah, ça veut dire monter, graver les échelons. Bon déjà, voilà. Arrête, la porte, juste elle se ferme. C'était ici qu'il fallait y aller, moi. Je sais pas. Alors que je retiens, c'était gauche. Premier truc. J'ai pas envie de me faire enfermer dans un truc encore. Allez hop.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret pin
C'est pour en
number,
français, je peux pas avancer.
2845.
28-45.
But of
Faut que je
course,
retiens ça.
Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
Ah, il y aura beaucoup de gens qui chercheront le code. De toute façon, il le dit.
Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Ok. Ok. Pas que je tombe dans le vide. Oh, j'ai peur de tomber. Je vais encore faire quelque chose, non? J'ai eu juste ou pas?
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Wesh. Des étincelles d'électricité là, je sais pas quoi. Faut faire vraiment attention aux détails. Peut-être qu'il faut éviter, peut-être que tu te manges des châtaignes, j'en sais rien.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Centre de contrôle. Escapade, centre de contrôle. On m'a dit centre de contrôle. Je vais essayer de l'écouter, mais j'ai bien envie d'y aller à contresens là. Mais c'est marqué en version crève là en fait. J'imagine c'est du mytho. Mais bon, il m'a pas mitonné, mais il peut peut-être me mitonner à un moment donné. Allez hop, on va essayer. Ça n'est pas grand chose à faire.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Percer le mystère. Pour l'instant c'est toujours bon, mais quel mystère. Oh, pourquoi il n'y a plus personne?
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building. Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen. And Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
C'est en faire quoi? Je suis là moi. suis là, sur mon bureau, il est là, 427. T'as vu ça?
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very
Ouais, c'est ça.
And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Le problème, c'est que je regarde jamais ce qu'il faut faire. Alors, qu'est-ce qu'il faut faire? Offline, off. Souvent, des fois, c'est, comment dire, c'est juste un peu observer parce que des fois, on voit rien du tout. Des fois, c'est sous tes yeux, tu fais pas attention. Un problème. Je vais juste regarder, on sait jamais. Ah, des fois c'est juste là, tu vois. C'est quoi ça? Comme j'ai envie de tester, mais comme j'ai pas envie de perdre tout. Youpi, ça passé. Tant pis, on va y aller. Bon, tant pis, hein. La porte, elle s'est déjà pas fermée, c'est déjà une bonne chose.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put... Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls,
J'ai enclenché direct, moi.
After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say, 2 minutes. Now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off?
Je sais pas ce qu'il me dit en plus, je fais pas attention.
Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count, or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say, happily ever after.
Bon, bah... C'est tout noir. Et si je serais sorti, j'aurais fait escape. Je serais peut-être pas là. On m'a menti. Ah putain.
All of his co-workers were gone.
Je m'en doutais.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ouais.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow, yes, this room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Ici.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
C'est un truc qui rend dingue, mais... Je sais même pas, je suis encore fou, je parie. Ouais, j'étais pas passé par là. Ah oui, il va me le refaire.
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here, it's, left.
Ouais, ok.
Oh, no, it's to the right, my mistake. No, 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 not the right.
Ah, tu me...
Why would I have ever said
Eh,
it was
vas-y,
to the
tourne alors.
right? What was I thinking? It's
Ah, tu fais de ma
clearly...
gueule.
Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please?
Ouais, je te rends dingue.
Now, let's see. We went down right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
Ouais, ok. Ok.
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to, oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, hmm? Okay, from the top.
Voilà, qu'est-ce qu'il m'a fait? Je repars dès le début.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Quelqu'un qui est nerveux, qui a pas envie de chercher. Oh, le truc.
When Stanley... Wait, what? No, I restarted. I swear I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be...
Le truc que tu comprends rien, en fait. Tu te dis, mais...
Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors?
Ouais,
did you
non,
move the story
après, ça va, je recommence. Ça me fait recommencer, mais regarde, là, je passe de 2 portes et je passe à plusieurs portes. Mais ça va, il y a toujours des petits changements. Mais c'est pas comme si à chaque fois je fais une erreur dans le jeu et qu'il me refait toujours à chaque fois la même cinématique. Bon, après, ça me fait mémoriser, mais après, c'est tout le temps partir à zéro. Bon, allez, je laisse le choix. Quelle porte? Bon, celle-là, je peux pas. On va dire, celle-là, c'est 1. Bon, quand je vois celle-là, on dirait que celle-là, elle se rejoint avec celle-là. Et celle-là, je sais pas s'il y a quelque chose. Et si ça se rejoint avec celle-là, parce que là, ça tourne à droite. Mais je sais pas si là, si on tourne à gauche, ça va rejoindre. Alors, je vais laisser le choix. 1, 2, 3.
This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before.
Ou 5.
Do we need to restart the game again?
2,
well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again. But it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
Wesh.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Photo, il me... Oh, je suis dans un truc... T'es sûr qu'il est normal, là?
Okay, yep, it's worse. I might be remembering this
Ah ouais,
wrong.
bah si je veux,
It's possible the story is
ouais,
back
ouais,
where we just
ouais.
came from. Why don't we go back the other direction
J'ai
and see if we
ouais,
missed anything?
Ok. Par contre, c'est éteint, ça. Ouais, j'ai pas lu. Qu'est-ce qu'il veut? Et d'un coup, j'ai plein de portes, d'un coup, il n'y en a plus. Je retourne dans mon bureau, il n'y a pas une porte qui s'est ouverte.
Aha! I knew we'd miss
Il n'y avait
something.
pas ça tout à l'heure.
The story. Here it comes. No, wait. Never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps.
Bah oui, il retourne sur mes pas, à chaque fois ça change. Hein? Ok.
Now this... Well, I'll be honest, I don't recognize this place
Ouais,
at
le
all.
truc qui le
Is this
jeu.
the story?
Moi par contre,
I
je me
don't
décaille un
think so.
petit peu. Attends.
I can't quite recall, but I believe my story
Ça se
took
voit
place
qu'il
in
fait
an
moins
office
trop,
building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations!
J'ai
I know
raté.
you put in
J'ai
a
gagné.
lot of hard work, and it really paid off.
J'imagine c'est la fin du jeu.
Good job.
Good job.
Oh no, no, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square,
Ah mais
and this
dingue,
was
là
not
il
one
m'a
of
rendu
those
dingue, j'ai pris en
situations.
2-2. Hein.
Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to restart.
Encore? Mais il va me faire péter une pile. J'imagine quelqu'un qui est sous... hein? Tu vois ce que je veux dire? Fume ta tête. Hein?
All right, I've got a solution.
Ah,
This
c'est pour une
time, to
solution.
make sure
Ok,
we
bah
don't
vas-y,
get
je t'écoute,
lost,
t'inquiète.
I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable
Allez, j'ai pas besoin de
Adventure
lire,
Line. Just follow the line. How simple
Ouais,
is
c'était
that?
fermé tout à l'heure, maintenant c'est ouvert. Vas-y, 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 t'inquiète, solution, vas-y, je t'écoute.
You see, the line knows where the story is. It's
Hop,
over
j'écoute la
in
ligne,
this
là.
direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny.
Ouais, c'est le dessin,
Here's a
c'est la
thought.
peinture, ouais.
Wouldn't wherever we end up be
scotch,
our destination,
peinture, je sais
even
pas,
if there's no story there? Or to put it another way,
Ah ouais,
is
j'étais
the
passé là,
story
tout
of
à l'heure,
no
oui, oui, c'est là,
destination
que j'ai créé.
still
Je
a
sais pas pourquoi il nous a
story?
dessiné. Ouais, bon,
Simply
ok.
by the act of moving forward,
marcher sur le
are
mur,
we
mais bon.
implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Whoa, 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 whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize.
Ok, cool.
Not sure where I was going with all
Vas-y,
that.
je fais pareil.
You know what? I think what we need right now is a
je
bit
peux
of
pas aller sur le
music
mur,
to
hein.
lighten the mood.
Ah ouais, oui, mais de la musique, il faut me dire, il me prend pour un con en fait. Bon, bah pour l'instant, je vais l'écouter parce que j'avance.
Wait, cut the music, go back and look at that fern. Wait, what? We're back at the office? No, no, no. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
Ok. Mais je suis venu par là, c'est fermé. Et là, c'est mon bureau. Bah, je vais par là alors. J'ai encore le sens de l'orientation. Je suis pas fou quand même. Bah,
Oh, no, 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 not again. Line, how could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through...
Bah oui, je savais
you...
très bien,
No,
mais
I
je
can't
me
take
repère
this
quand même.
anymore, to hell with it. Restart.
Oh, ils m'ont fait partir à 0, il va me refaire péter les plombs encore. Oh non. C'était 7 heures, maintenant il est en 10 heures.
You know what, Stanley?
Ah,
I
tu
say
te fous de ma
forget
gueule.
the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. This all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
On va vers où? Non, parce qu'il a décidé.
Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild.
Ah, c'est pas logique de
Use
tourner
your
comme ça.
imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley.
C'est impossible.
I'm ready for it.
Forcément, tu tournes 2-3 fois, c'est bon, t'as déjà fait le tour. C'est impossible de tourner toujours. Oh.
Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from
puis
having
c'est pas
any
ce
role in
jeu-là,
our
franchement.
awesome new story. No lines or monitor
Ah,
rooms.
l'esprit tordu.
Just don't acknowledge it. We should be fine.
Bon, j'aurais fait un jeu, j'aurais fait exactement la même chose tordue. Mais comment tu veux que j'aille là-bas, moi? Moi, je continue.
Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere, the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits. Oh, hold up, what's this? The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really? No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. And the timer stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen? So, okay. I guess now we just wait, you know. I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story, wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you...
Wesh. Qu'est-ce qu'il me fait encore l'autre? Il a fait un coup de panique là. Eh ben, bah, franchement... Mamma mia. Je retourne encore au bureau et ça va encore changer. T'imagines, ça se passe pour de vrai, t'es vraiment au bureau, t'as tous tes collègues et elles sont plus là.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Il m'a dit gauche, on va voir qu'il va s'étouffer dans la salle gauche. Vas-y. Je m'en fous. On y va. Hein.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Ok, bureau de son chef, vas-y. Ok, c'est ce que j'ai fait tout à l'heure. Le problème, c'est que le bureau de mon chef, moi, tout à l'heure, j'étais là-bas. Mais j'ai envie de changer. J'ai bien envie d'y aller là. Le problème, c'est que quand je vois la photo, ça veut dire que t'es mort. C'est bien. Salle de bain. Je crois que la porte se ferme. Because se pose. Je Putain, pourquoi je sais pas ce que ça veut dire? Ça va, la porte c'est pas fermée. Allez, on va essayer, je vais tester l'autre pièce. Chiche, je le prends. Il s'arrête quand le truc? En fait je suis au même endroit en fait. Les trucs.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845.
Ah, c'est mystérieux.
But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Il leur fait le même niveau. Pas juste. Fallait monter. Peut-être, je sais pas. Bon, ça,
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind
là que je
Control
voulais y aller tout à l'heure,
Facility.
moi. Je voulais pas me foutre dans le truc d'ordinateur, là, que t'es fusé après compte à rebours. Ah, si je crois que je vais faire ça, moi. Hein. Chiche. J'ai pas envie d'aller là-bas. Là, je vais me faire une dinguerie encore. Vas-y, ni qu'un.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Hein? On dit la mort violente. Je vais revenir en arrière. Mort violente. Ah vas-y, c'est qu'un jeu, vas-y.
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on
Ah
track.
vas-y, j'écoute pas, regarde.
At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Devant la mort. Ah bon? En fait, c'est... Je sais pas si je saute. Il me dit que je vais mourir. Est-ce que c'est du mytho ou pas? Je sais pas moi. Je peux pas zoomer. Je sais pas où je vais tomber aussi moi. Est-ce que j'y vais ou je vais pas? Ah comment j'ai pas envie. Comment j'ai envie de sauter dans le truc pour voir ce que c'est. Ah mais y a rien. Je vais claquer. Il fallait pas. Oh, peut-être, hein. Ou pas.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Uh-oh.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led
That's
helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
Stanley. Oui, c'est moi.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish?
En fait, peut-être j'avais juste, hein. Fallait pas l'écouter.
When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Ah, en fait, je crois que j'ai réussi. Bah oui, je suis plus au bureau. Bon, la solution des boutons, oui, bah oui, tout à l'heure, c'est ce que j'ai galéré. Il fallait faire dans l'ordre, il fallait les trouver aussi. Il fallait faire aussi les ordinateurs du bureau. Oh putain, moi j'ai déjà joué à ça. 430, moi j'ai pas envie d'y aller là-bas. C'est quoi? J'ai envie de tester une porte. En fait, je sais pas moi, en fait. T'as vu où j'ai été? Peut-être je suis au paradis, je sais pas. Et je vais où? J'ai envie de tester quoi? J'ai envie de tester là qu'on voit rien. On dit hop. Il y a quoi là? Ah, ça parle. C'est quoi ça? Escape.
Now look closely, Stanley. See how it's impossible for the player to do anything in this room. Perfect example of poor level design. Textbook mistake. It's the kind of thing you'd pick up on intuitively if you had even the most fundamental understanding of good and bad game design. Stanley came to the lift, but of course, you being you'll probably spend the next hour trying to solve it. Here, I'm just going to make this easy on you. Now then, this elevator for sure will get him right back on track to where he was supposed to be in the story.
Ouais, bah va te faire cuire à l'œuf. C'est comme s'il m'aidait des conneries, trucs. Je l'écoute, moi je tombe dans le panneau, il me fait tourner en bourrique. L'orge du bureau, l'or... Ouais, bon, ok. Fin de la liberté. On va pas dire que j'ai réussi. C'est quoi, il y a encore des délires là à faire. Code de couleur. Ascenseur de salle. Ouais, ça je l'ai déjà passé là. Ça, je l'ai fait. Voilà, comme il dit, bouge, toc toc. C'est vrai, pour dire que c'est un labyrinthe, après tu changes ça. C'est tombé. Téléphone, tu l'as eu ça? Il va faire quoi lui? Il va exploser. Boum. Ah, non, c'est pas vrai. Ouais. Un truc qui te fait tourner en pourri là. Mon bureau. En fait il est en 3. Sur ce qu'ils ont changé en fait. Tu vois déjà là je voyais une tasse. Il y en a 2. Là il y a 3 trucs de bureau. Et là il y en a que 2. Ça c'est pour dire, c'est pour les détails. Là t'as rien. Là t'as des choses dessus. Là, tu vois il y a un écran. Là il y en a 2. Les armoires sont positionnées autrement. Tu vois c'est des détails. En fait chercher les 7 erreurs. Par là, moi. Je peux pas ouvrir. Non, pas me dire que c'était à la fin du jeu. Il y a des codes peut-être. RPG, non. J'ai fait le tour. J'ai tout fait, je suis passé par là. Ah, peut-être là. Si, je l'ai fait. Et ça, c'est la salle qui me saoule là. Pas ça. Pas ça que je cherche. Voilà.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free. Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Turn off your PlayStation. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let...
Écrasé. Ou pas. On sait jamais à quoi s'attendre avec ce jeu. Où il va me ramener? Ah ouais. Bon bah. Et qu'est-ce qu'il va me sortir
All of his
maintenant?
co-workers were gone.
Oui,
What
on
could
le
it
sait,
mean?
tous mes collègues sont
Stanley
partis.
decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ah ouais, écoutez, c'était à gauche et là. Ouais, bon, tant pis. Bon, c'est ça.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Pas le droit à l'erreur.
The moment he entered his manager's office, Stanley froze in his tracks. Not a living soul anywhere. Could he really be all alone? This was too much for Stanley to take. Too much for any... Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music.
Il n'y a pas de musique avant.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Chaque fois, il y a des trucs qui changent. Il te refait tournant pourrique. Tu refais toujours le même chemin, mais ça change à chaque fois. Cette fois-ci, je suis dans la zone de contrôle.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation.
Bon.
Controls labeled with emotions. Happy or
fois.
sad or content. Walking,
Les
eating, working.
1, 2,
all of
3,
it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Un, 2, ok, on y est. 1, 2, comme ça j'irai 2-3 minutes. 1, 2. Non, c'est pas juste. Un, deux. 1, 2. On va dire que c'est 3. Non, 1, 2, 3. Peut-être c'est le 4 qui est en haut. Et c'était 5, ouais. On va essayer, hein. C'est ce que j'ai couillé tout à l'heure.
And when at last he found the source of the root.
Encore erreur. Je fais des conneries en fait. J'aurais dû mettre on. Parce que quand j'ai mis on, il y avait un compte à rebours. J'ai cramé. 2 minutes.
Blackness and a
Bon,
rising
changé,
chill of uncertainty. Was it over?
J'aime bien faire contresens ce qu'il faut faire.
Yes. He had won.
Bon, en fait, c'était
He
ça.
had defeated the machine.
Je pense, hein.
Unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments
Ouais, la
away.
liberté, mais pas trop. Pas
Even
sûr.
as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him. For it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
J'espère que c'est bon.
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
T'es heureux. Ouais, mais quand même, t'as rendu dingue quand même. Hein. Terminer le jeu. Ok, bah je l'ai fini, ça tombe bien. Je ne demandais pas plus. Moi, j'aurais demandé une plus grosse histoire, mais c'est vraiment pas compliqué. Hein. Pas compliqué, c'est vraiment dingue. Il y a pire, mais c'est simple. Le jeu il est terminé. Voilà, le jeu est terminé. J'ai terminé le jeu.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Ouais.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting
Bon,
room. Perhaps
moi,
he had simply
c'est la
missed a
fin.
memo.
Je coupe et je vais laisser la vidéo comme ça, avec les messages des quelques personnes qui étaient là. Puis voilà, c'est terminé. Le jeu, je l'ai fini. Bon, bah demain je referai le The Division 2. Je continuerai mon aventure. Allez, bonne soirée à tous.